One Wasteland completely changed the way leveling worked in Fallout 76. Now, it's even easier to completely level up to 50 without even touching any of the main or expansion quests. This makes not only leveling alt characters easier, but new players will have a much easier time when it comes to solo and co-op play. The best grind areas in the game are the ones with the most enemies that you could take out quickly. In this video, I'm going to highlight some high XP zones in the forest region. This is perfect for beginners. Before we get into the zones, I want to highlight a key point about enemy levels and how one wasteland works for people just jumping or starting back up again. The map of Fallout 76 is split up into 6 different zones, and not only are they geographically different areas, the enemies that inhabit them have varying level caps and difficulty. For example, the levels that enemies in the forest zone can be is 1 through 50. Once you start leveling past 50, the enemies will only be 50 and grant the XP that you would get if you were at level 50. For the endgame zones, the level caps could be as high as 100, so stick to the zones you're most comfortable with dealing until you're able to survive with better gear. There are also minimum level requirements for the different zones to prevent players from leaving the vault and venturing into areas where they're not supposed to be at yet. So you don't have the freedom to have as many XP grind locations as you want, but as you start to level up and once you get past level 50, you can really start to go back even to the early zones, and as long as the place has a lot of enemies, you're going to be getting a lot of XP. Anyways, now that we got that out of the way, we can focus on the actual locations themselves. Let's get started. Sutton is one of those locations you come across early in the game if you start following the Overseer's personal mission through her holotapes. Each of these locations have a decent number of scorched enemies, and they are in close proximity to each other, so you can start down in Sutton, kill all the enemies, work your way down to Helvetia, and then finish off at Greg's mine supply. And you can fetch a decent XP amount without spending anything to fast travel in between them. Morgantown is one of the bigger locations in Fallout 76 and has a host of main, side, and even event quests located in this massive area. There are also a wide variety of enemies to choose from. You come across ghouls along the highways and surface streets, robots around Mama Dolce's where an event also takes place, ghouls at the train yard, Morgantown Airport, and Morgantown High School, and even super mutants can be found there. This is a great place to grind for XP, and the collision course event located at the airport is also a great source of XP and can be completed at any level in a pretty quick amount of time. In fact, when I started over on a new character, when I reached level 5, I would just grind Morgantown over and over while server hopping, and I was able to get to level 10 pretty easily. This location was drastically changed after the introduction of Wastelanders, and now the Mothman cultists inhabit this desolate town. There's a good number of them, but they are different in the sense as they use real weapons, opposed to some creatures you may come across when you're just starting. Make sure you have a decent weapon and some armor if you plan to take on some of these locations with human NPCs. They're kind of a step up from the Scorch and Ghoul enemies, and they're a little bit harder to take down, and they can take you down a little quicker than those other enemies can. This location is also a great resource for Mothman eggs, which can be cooked and sold to a vendor for a decent price. So it pays to make a trip every once in a while, literally. You would think this location is part of the Toxic Valley zone, but it's entirely forested and the enemies belong in the forest region level pool. While it doesn't have a ton of enemies, it has a benefit of being very small, and you can easily clear the location in a few minutes and earn a decent amount of XP. There's also a few dailies here that are also not too difficult or time consuming and are great for new players. I suggest starting out here every time you play, clear the enemies, do the dailies, and then continue whatever you're doing. This is one of the tougher locations in the forest area due to the fact that you will be coming across super mutants. While they don't do that much damage at lower levels, they have a higher damage resistance than most enemies in this region. So if you don't have a weapon capable of taking them out quickly, you'll run out of bullets and the time to earn XP is a sort of a waste. If you are reaching past level 10 and you have a decent enough equipment, you can easily level up traveling through Summersville and then continuing on to New Gad. This location is massive and features a lot of different types of enemies. It's on the border of the Ash Heap, so it's meant to be a barrier point to that new zone. They have tough enemies meant to scare you and keep you in the forest until you are strong enough to pass through. It is honestly very clever game design, and that's why I like this location so much. The only downside is the enemies are very spread out, so clearing it out entirely can be both difficult and time consuming if you're not prepared. If you don't mind spending the extra time traveling through this entire zone, the XP you get I think is entirely worth it. These are the best locations for you to level up your character in the forest region. They each offer a lot of enemies that don't take much time to clear if you know what you're doing. When creating a new character or leveling up during double XP events, I like to make a list of high XP areas and clear them out as fast as possible to be efficient. If you guys go from the top of the list and down, you can easily rank in tons of XP. I really hope this video helps you out. Let me know in the comments section below if I missed an area in the forest that gives you a decent amount of XP. I'm interested in hearing your ideas. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you're new here. Thanks for checking out this video, and I will see you in the next one.